My name is Yanti Andriyani. I am PhD student from University of Auckland. This is SEPTA. SEPTA is a research group in University of Auckland. And this is our research group member. And this one is my supervisor. She's doing research about Agile. And this is our head of department, and this is PhD students. And I would like to explain about my research about knowledge management and reflective practice in Agile software development. Okay. This is the title of my PhD research. Knowledge management and reflective practice in Agile software development. And today, I would like to explain two aspects of my research about knowledge management and reflective practice. Before I explain further about my research, I would like to give brief background and motivation about my research. As we know, Agile Manifesto about individuals and interaction. And we know in Agile software development, the practices are about meeting. Yeah, are about meetings. And regular intervals, teams try to reflect, inspect, and adapt. Communication. During the communication, knowledge evolves. However, Agile teams busy with user stories, deadline of 2-week sprint. Do they focus about how to manage knowledge? I would like to ask you. Are you aware about how to manage your knowledge? No. So what's the point for me to manage knowledge? By having knowledge management, it helps Agile team to innovate, to have innovation, to make them more creative. And then what happens next? They would be able to solve their problems, which is useful for team improvement, and also for improvement of the process as well. And knowledge management is not a priority. That's why, that's the motivation of my research. And I have done literature review about knowledge management in Agile software development. Most paper or most research talk about knowledge management by classifying into tacit and explicit knowledge. Do you know what is tacit and explicit knowledge? Yeah. Can you apply it like based on a reality? Which one is tacit? Which one is explicit? No, yes. Yeah, it's quite difficult for practitioner to understand about which one is tacit, which one is explicit. So I try to find the classification that closely related with Agile practitioners by having knowledge types based on product knowledge, process knowledge, and project knowledge. And also with knowledge management strategies by discussion, artifacts, what else? Tools, probably you know, like Jira, Slack for chat, things like that. So I try to develop, a framework about knowledge management in Agile software development. How I analyze that? This is the research method. I conducted case study, like I've explained before. I review the existing literature review, research or papers, interview on observation, and analyze the finding, and formulate the finding as a framework. This is the data that I have collected so far, and it's enough, not more. Probably I will collect more data for another PhD. I have observed and interviewed 3 companies, 2 from New Zealand and 1 from Indonesia. What I have done is doing individual interviews, group interviews, and observation. I observed 2 meeting practices, daily stand-up and retrospective meeting. Why? I will explain later. Why daily stand-up and retrospective meeting is important for Agile teams. And this is the current findings. There are 2 sections of my research. First about knowledge management, and the second is about reflective practice or reflection. From this literature review, I found the concept of knowledge management about knowledge type and knowledge management strategies. I wouldn't explain this specifically. I just want to give you a brief explanation about this because I would like to explain further about this. This research based on research paper review. And this one will be presented in KASM conference in Melbourne next month. And this one, I already have presented in Germany in XP conference, and I will explain about this in the next section. This is the findings so far about knowledge management. So knowledge management, knowledge types about product, project, and process knowledge are required in knowledge management strategies, which are implemented through Agile practices. If there is no Agile practices, there would be no knowledge management strategies. And if there is no strategies, knowledge type wouldn't be able to be managed. So that's the initial finding about knowledge management. And this is the important findings of my research that I have presented in Germany about reflection in Agile retrospective meeting. Before I start, I would like to ask about reflection. What idea that comes in your mind about reflection? Mirror. Why? Reflect yourself. What happened when you reflect yourself? Yes. Mirrors. When you see yourself like feeling sad or not in a good situation, you start to thinking like, how should I do? What should I do? And then what should I improve? Should I change? Probably try to smile. That's only for your self-reflection. What about team reflection? Have you ever think about how team reflect? How do your team know about your team situation? Talking one to another. Okay. Okay. From that side? What about team reflection? How do you know in your team feeling sad? I noticed from open space mention about romantic. Agile is romantic. Yes. You need chemistry. Chemistry between your team members, right? If you don't have chemistry, how can you reflect? I would like to highlight about this point. It's about awareness and improvement. So your team needs to be aware about team situation in order to improve. Basically, retrospective meeting is a practice that meant to reflect and then 3 points that need to be reported is about what went well, what went wrong, what else? What should be improved? That's the standard questions that need to be reported. So far, in the Agile research, mostly they talk about the techniques how to perform retrospective meeting. Game, what else? Post-iteration workshop by doing root cause analysis, also post-mortem review. Yeah, this is standard practice. But most of research talk about the techniques. Another research is about talking about reflective agile learning models. In this paper, in this research, they classified reflection into 2 classifications: reflection in action and reflection on action. And then they categorize the green one, like release planning, estimation and iteration planning, group programming, demo and acceptance testing, as part of reflection in action. Why? Reflection in action is reflection that happen during the process. During the process. What about learning spike, daily stand-up, retrospective meeting? They categorize as reflection on action. What is reflection on action? Is about reflection that happen after the process is finished. For example, retrospective meeting. Once you have done your sprint, you're doing a review with your team, right? So that's part of reflection on action. And that's why my research is only focuses only on these 2 practices, daily stand-up and retrospective meeting, because I would like to see how far Agile team perform reflection on action. So that's why PhD research is going to deep, because I need to pick one topic, smaller topic, and then I try to explore further. Probably mostly from the beginning of the first day until previous talk about general Agile, but here I will talk about specific about 2 meetings, but I will talk about only retrospective meeting. Okay. But something missing from this research, how reflection occurs in Agile retrospective meeting is not well discussed. How reflection happen? Do you know it? I just know about, I sharing what went well, what went wrong, that's all. But I don't know how it happens and what aspects are focused on during retrospective meeting. Someone asked, what is the ideal retrospective meeting, or how retrospective meeting should be performed well? Probably this is one answer for that question. How should your Agile teams perform retrospective meeting? Probably this one of the answer. Yeah, again, I conducted case study and data analysis by using thematic data analysis. This is qualitative study. It's quite different with quantitative. Quantitative study is doing a survey and playing with number. But in my case, this is qualitative study, so I need to analyze all the interviews based on the theme. I will explain about what is the thematic data analysis and how does it work. This case study I took from one of company in New Zealand. I observed 4 retrospective meetings for Agile teams in New Zealand. And data analysis. Okay, this is my data collection. The company name is TradeMe. If you try to search TradeMe, that is the biggest marketplace company in New Zealand. And they are quite open with the research. That's why I'm really confident to mention their name, because they asked for that. Because they really want to claim about the findings from me, from the research, and then they contribute to that. Okay. There are 4 teams and 1 shared resource. The shared resource is a team chapter lead. This is from the property team. Probably if Tokopedia has category like clothing, travel, TradeMe also have that categories, but the software team is divided based on that categories. And then they provide access for me to observe property team. They have 4 teams and 1 team chapter lead. I would like to highlight this point. Can you see a strange point of this? Can you capture strange point of these tables? No, yeah, almost there. Yeah, I just want the simple things. This is the strange point. They perform retrospective meeting only 15 minutes. Can you imagine that? And then the retrospective meeting frequency is only when they are needed. How? Yes, I would like to explain about this. Yes, true. They only perform a retrospective meeting 15 minutes, and when it's needed. Why? Because they have they call it retro box nearby their workplace. So during the 2 weeks, all the team members must put all their problems or whatever success point or failure into retro box. If there are so many sticky notes there, they will perform retrospective meeting. But if there is no sticky notes, they wouldn't do retrospective meeting. Okay. So what's the problem? Before I answer what's the problem, so I would like to explain about thematic analysis. This is the steps of analyze the data. Reading the interview transcription, I try to understand, to comprehend all the interviews, the context as well. And then transcribe the interview. And generate initial codes. This is not about coding, programming, but qualitative coding. How? I try to highlight the transcription or the conversation and define a code. For example, like this, I score myself really low. I said, I was not very happy. So I categorize as a shared feelings. Or another example, we have to do something with 2 days. It's kind of like interdependent things. So this is part of obstacles. Examples is dependencies. Or we usually write something down like 5 bullet points, then we try to look at the following week. This is part of the action point. Once we have this code, we try to define themes. Okay. And then we review again. And we try to define and change the name. Sometimes we try to find the correct name of the teams. For example, sharing, I change it into reporting and responding. And this one, the outcomes, I try to make reconstructing. And this is the result of the analysis. I generated this using a software, we call it NVivo. This is for, the NVivo is for qualitative data analysis, especially for qualitative researcher, where reporting and responding, relating and reasoning come from. This level of reflection comes from a paper from education. There are 5 levels, we call it from Bain: reporting, responding, relating, reasoning, reconstructing. I found this paper really closely related with reflection that happening in retrospective meeting. And I try to adjust this level by categorizing like this. So the first level is reporting and responding. The second level is relating and reasoning. Why? Reporting and responding. Based on my observation, at the beginning of retrospective meeting, Agile team tried to report. Yeah? What's your feeling? What went well, what went wrong? They only report, put sticky notes. And respond probably just asking like short question and then a short answer. But when they already ask further about the obstacle, they start to find the reason. Why you are feeling sad? Why you are feeling happy at the first week and then feeling sad at the second week? And then they try to find the solution and then try to find action plan. That's part of reconstructing. Okay. This is the details of the explanation of each level. Reporting and responding. They try to identifying, discussing obstacles like dependency, like I've said before. This is the examples of sharing dependencies in retrospective meeting. If something wrong at this first point, the next person feels it. Do you have experience about this? Dependencies, problems? Did you share it in a retrospective meeting? Did you explain it to your team? Or unfinished tasks? Sorry, I cannot finish these stories. I cannot finish this sprint. And I heard from the first day about blaming situation. That's really hard, I know. That's inevitable situation. But again, based on the culture as well. And this is the examples of evidence about unfinished tasks. Or discussing feelings. Have you tried to discuss or share your feelings during retrospective meeting? No? No? Yes? Some say yes, some say no. What about from that side? Have you ever shared your feelings during retrospective meeting? I feel really low at the first week, and I feel really motivated at the second week. Have you ever said that? Yes? Okay. Some people say, but a bit hasty. Yeah, discuss feeling represent the sense of the facts. So sense of the facts is important in retrospective meeting. Don't talk about what went well only. Sense of what went well or what went wrong is also needed. we do put down smiley icon. This is the evidence. This is the examples of the team. I think this is the smiley icon, a bit small. Or this one. And they often doing retrospective meeting by drink. So they can share, I'm happy now, I'm sad now. And it makes them like really enjoy the meeting. As you can see here, this is like journey line. This is journey line. First week and second week. When the first week they still have like moderate motivation and then high motivation and then feeling low without putting all the explanation on the board. Because they try to explain. While they are explaining, they try to find the relationship why I'm feeling sad, why I was feeling down. As well as this. But these teams, they quite active and they quite mature. They mention about, okay, I'm feeling down because of this. I'm feeling down because of so many bugs in this week. And then I feel so motivated because bugs already solved. Have you ever that experience in retrospective meeting? Yes. From the 4 teams, yes, they use this. Yes. Okay. And analyzing previous action point. Based on my observed team that I observed, they try to analyze when they're relating and reasoning. They try to analyze previous action point. They already have action point before, and then they try to analyze. Are we already accomplished that action point or not? So they try to relate it. Why? Why you cannot achieve that? Why you cannot accomplish that? What's the reason? Like this. This is the evidence. We measure yourself based on your action point. I will show you the action points from this team. You haven't really, like this one, 200 action points, but not a single one of those was followed up on. You really haven't done nothing. So they try to analyze that. Why? I've explained before about why. This is the evidence. The major issues are causing the squad stuck at the moment, dealing with external dependency. So they need to like finding the causes analysis. When they already know what is the causes of the problem, they try to answer what's next, what should we do next. That's the point of what improvement. This is one of the evidence. Derive action points on those things. This is a good way to improve. Or this is another evidence. Pull action points on the board. And this is the examples based on my observation of the action point that they have. Not all teams have this. Okay. They mention about this is the action points and this is the who is responsible for these points, and this is the name of the person. Okay, I would like to do comparison of 4 teams. Team Jupiter, Uranus, and Saturn, they fully engage in all levels. Yes, they reported feelings and obstacles. Future action points, yes, they have background reason and previous action point as well, and also have a plan, action point. For Team Neptune, they didn't discuss their feelings. They didn't analyze their action points, previous action points. Why? Because they don't have it. They don't have action points. Why? This is probably initial assumption, probably because of 3 out of 6 our team members new in Agile. And they try to introduce new techniques by using retrobox. I would like to claim these teams is an introvert team, but I need to investigate further about this, and I'm still working on that. But yes, at a glance, Neptune team is an introvert team. Can you imagine introvert team? Yes, less talk. Really less talk. So I would like to conclude, if there is no reporting and responding, relating and reasoning wouldn't be happen. Also with plan. Okay. So, to perform retrospective meeting really well, you need to be aware of this all level. And in order to get benefits of retrospective meeting about continuous improvement, yes, you need to be aware about using this. That's why I provide this one for you. Probably it will be useful for your teams. You can put it on your Scrum board as a value for your team, as a guidance for your team. Yeah, you can take it. But I'm really sorry that I didn't provide as many as you here. Hopefully it will be useful for you. How? How do I implement that framework to your team? We just use it, we try to use this. This is the popular standard retrospective meeting by Esther Derby. This is the stage. Okay, we start. When you set the stage, you know, like the ceremony of retrospective meeting. When you gather data, you need to start discussing feelings and identifying the obstacles. When you start to generate insight, you need to be able to analyze previous action point and background reason and try to define future action points. On the steps, generate what to do, you need to generating a plan, action plan. Okay? Oops, sorry. Someone still took a picture. Oh, sorry. Then, this is implication for researcher. Anyone researcher here or academia here? Yes, you can explore more on Agile practices by using this framework. Do you think in a daily stand-up there is a reflection? Yes. How far of the level of reflection in daily stand-up? So that's the point. Probably researcher can focus on that. Or explore more on different team contexts. Okay, this is the conclusion. Agile team may not achieve all levels of reflection. And this level will help Agile teams to get better focus on and higher level of reflection in order to get continuous improvement. Okay. Thank you for your time. If you would like to ask questions about my research, I will be happy to answer as far as I know. Yeah.
comparing for teams, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then the from the statistic you show that there is one that different from others. So and that's was the feeling. So what's the comparing to the productivity? So does the three show quite big impact that when they're sharing their feelings or yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. This is my initial finding, only talking about finding that framework. To, to be able to answer your questions, I need to do intervention to the team. That's for my another PhD, probably postdoc. So I need to use my framework, and then I try to apply to agile teams, and I compare without framework and with level of reflection. Without level of reflection and with level of reflection. So I need to know, like you say, so what is the difference of the productivity if the team share their feelings, if the team do not share the feelings. So I need to do another research. So I cannot easily claim that, okay, I think they will be more better. No, I need to do more research about that. That's from the researcher perspective. So it takes probably 5 years or 6 years. Okay, thank you for that.
I'm just curious from your data analysis
Mhm.
because you mentioned before that you interview companies from New Zealand and also from Indonesia.
Mhm.
Do you also see the difference of situation? Because when I see, it would be very logic that the culture is different, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
Based on the culture, also the character of the people who wants to share is also very different, I
yeah,
think.
true.
So when you talk about feeling and also when you talk about reflection,
Mhm.
uh, to be honest, I'm not quite sure if that's true. In Indonesia, people are not easily being criticized, for instance.
True.
So is that also taking into account into that your findings that maybe implemented in Indonesia is different way or in New Zealand is different way? So that's my things. Thank you.
Okay, so far, based on the theme that I've observed, it's quite similar. Because, like you said, dimension, culture dimension, I didn't focus on that. Because if we talk about culture dimension, again, that's another research. So I only try to like make a boundary of my research, only focus on this level, and and my evidence is based on the interviews and the observation. And so far, all the teams is quite similar, and that's why, like I said before, I need to investigate further for the introvert team. And yeah, I start to collaborate with the Malaysian researcher about team climate to emerge about team introvert. Yeah, I started after I come back to New Zealand. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Eric. I'm from Veteran Syariah. I just continue from the last question because when you said sharing the feeling,
Mhm.
you can share anything, right?
Mhm.
You can criticize, you can whatever. You know, we call it in Indonesia curcol or whatever.
Yeah, true. Curhat.
So the thing is, how is it that the true intention of that? My first question. And second thing is, sometimes if we have a boundary on the discussion, the discussion is not constructive. You know, it
Mhm.
can be even there is a possibility even the result is not good.
Mhm.
So I just wonder how to mitigate and you know how to format the discussion of the perspective of sharing feeling and everything.
Sorry, can you like make it simple?
Okay. The thing is like expression the feeling
Mhm.
it can be to go to anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's constructive,
Oh, yeah, I see.
sometimes it's not. So
True.
how we you know is there any some trick or the way we can
Okay, that's so philosophical, like philosophy questions. I remember about the discussion with someone in XP in Germany, like talk about different forms of expressing feelings. Yeah, I think that's the same question with you. Huh. It's difficult to answer because I'm not a psychology. Yeah, I'm not a psychology. Uh, yeah, from area of psychology. So probably I will keep that question. So that's good for my additional support for my research. Thank you. Sorry, I cannot answer that. Hmm? Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Where's the microphone?
Maybe I can help to answer the question
Mhm.
because I have 15 subordinates.
Mhm.
They have multiple and unique personality, each of them.
Mhm.
And when I'm dealing with them, there are boundaries, there are rules that are made. You can share something that within the scope of work,
Mhm.
as long as the topic is about work, difficulties, problems, you can share it in public, in
Okay.
open, in our own team.
Mhm.
We can share it together and we will discuss it together. But when it is about personal feeling, why are you sad? I'm an introvert. I prefer to have a one-on-one conversation rather
Okay.
than share it in public because there is a risk they might think something about me that I will not like. The response I will get, I don't have the assurance that they will embrace me or something. So there are boundaries, there are limitations that we have to make within our own team,
Yeah.
which the do's and don'ts. And
Okay.
maybe that will have, and also the level of retrospective.
Mhm.
There are a level that you cannot cross. Like you can complain, but you cannot shout, you cannot yell, you cannot cry. You can say, "I'm sad," but that's it. Don't
Yeah.
cry. There are level of retrospective that you cannot just cross it
Okay.
unless you really want to do it one-on-one.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the for helping the answer. Okay. Times is up. Thank you so much for the question, and yeah, I will put to my research account. Yeah. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.